This week we're asking the question, how do you maintain your relationship with God in a joyful way?
Welcome to TGI Monday. Now, I've got a little question for you all. Can anyone remember what you were doing 18 years ago? So I'll tell you, I'll give you a clue. It was 1999.
I know.
Yeah.
Go on then.
I was getting ready to get married.
Lovely. What was going on in your life, Hal?
At this time now?
Well,
I was doing a research project into calcitonin gene-related peptide.
Wow. I mean,
me too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Obviously, in our spare time.
No, it was really good. We used to grow these like weird cells and stuff. It was brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dan, do you remember what you were doing?
Well, I was doing study. Probably not as much as Harold, I have to say, and nothing's ever really changed since then. But
very good.
So go on, tell us what were you doing, Rob?
Well, actually, it's not really about me. I was leaving teaching, which was amazing. But I tell you what I learned yesterday. In 1999, 18 years ago, Posh and Bex got married. Isn't that quite frightening?
Same year as me.
Yeah, that they've been married for 18 years.
Wow.
And I mean,
They're doing well, aren't they?
Who would have thought it?
Did you hear him on Desert Island Discs?
I did, yeah. He was lovely, I thought.
He'd be all right to be married.
I tell you what
to.
is interesting with old Dr. Poyner, who I did my research project with, and it was great fun. But in the coffee time, all we used to talk about, we used to get complaints about it, was we used to talk about God and church and stuff, because he was quite a devout Christian, and they were all like, why do we have to do that? Like that was, and they all freaked out everybody. Old Dr. Poyner.
I love that. Good
There you go. So anyway, Posh and Beck's marriage, 18 years
That's
of
good.
marriage. I hope they have many more. We've had a question in via our website this week from a chap called Jim. Thanks for sending in the question, Jim. He asks, how do you sustain yourself in your personal discipleship? So it's interesting, isn't it? One of the things actually Bex was talking about a lot on Desert Island Discs was how he and Victoria have had to work through the difficult times in their marriage and sustain their relationship. It doesn't just happen. And actually, it's a similar thing, isn't it, in our relationship with God? You know, there are harder times and easier times, and you can't just sort of assume it will always be straightforward. Anyway, that's my little segue into the question.
Good segue. Good
Yeah,
segue.
thank you.
Can my segue be a little bit of decoding the question for anybody who doesn't know? The word sustaining discipleship is about being committed to your faith journey, to helping you grow closer to God, to doing whatever helps, which we're going to be talking about in a minute, but to help feed your soul, to keep that stuff alive, because let's face it, life is very, very full and very, very good at drowning out all of that. So that's what discipleship means. That's what we're talking about anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about relationship. It is about our relationship with God. So go on, Hal, how do you sustain yourself in your personal discipleship?
Well, my problem basically is I need to have kind of rules and laws because I'm not a person who ever follows rules or laws. That's true, isn't it? I need discipline because I'm ill-disciplined. So I'm a member of a religious order of, it's a bit like in our diocese we have the Community of St. Chad, so it's the Community of the Resurrection I'm a member of. And I have to, well, I don't have to, I choose to pray twice a day, and I use the Divine Office at the minute. So I come up here at between 7 and 7:15 every morning for half an hour, and I read some psalms and I read some readings from this, and I change it all the time. So sometimes I'll use this for a couple of years, and I'll use a different one. The other thing I do as well is I use these things, which are prayer ropes, because life is a cacophony of nonsense and noise and garbage. What? And one way to to sort of recenter myself is to use the Jesus prayer, which is where you hold each of the knots here and say, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, or have mercy on whatever, and then you turn it, and you end up doing that for about however long you want to do it for, and that recenters you and enables you to see the world as it is.
Great.
Meditation. It's a way of meditating.
Dan, what about you? Do you have a similar routine?
No.
What do you do?
So one of my last memories as a policeman was of my colleague who was an area car driver. He was given this fantastic, 30 or 40,000 pound Skoda, brand new, hot off the factory floor, and he would keep it clean. He didn't like anyone else driving it. And after
This was his cop car.
This was his cop car. And after about 3 or 4 weeks of him having it, one night about 4 o'clock in the morning, he took it to the petrol station, and instead of putting petrol in the engine, he filled it with diesel. And I don't know what came over him, but he decided he needed to move it out the way. So he fired up the engine, it crawled about 3 feet and absolutely exploded on him.
Yeah.
And it was totally and utterly written off.
Oh my God.
Undrivable, all that money gone.
Yeah.
And it's really an important metaphor that what fuels our engine as Christians is really important. If we get our fuel wrong, we can very quickly explode, like that poor guy's police car. And one of the mistakes that I've seen throughout church history, it's not my observation, but one of the mistakes that Paul makes, I think Luther has noticed, and various other people like that, is that we try to sustain ourselves all the time by doing stuff. We need to pray all the time and Bible study and meet for church and do social justice projects
And hit the table.
Hit the table, be good parents and be great friends and always be there. And those are great and those are really important and God loves all those things. But they also they also put an awful lot of pressure on us because, frankly, I'm never going to be a perfect parent. I don't pray enough. I don't read my Bible enough. I go to church, but then that's my job. But you know, there's an awful lot of pressure you can put on yourself, and we as Christians can put on each other. And the point of the Christian faith is not about our performance. It's not about our performance for God, and it's not about our performance for other people. It's about Jesus' performance for us.
And you know, it's such a relief because that whole morning quiet time thing was something I felt guilty for years.
Yeah.
Literally years.
But they
And I
tell
just-
you
yeah.
that if you have it, you'll be refreshed and sustained. And all it does is it puts this great pressure on you.
Yeah, and if you're a real extrovert, actually for me, it feels like shriveling and diminishing. And I've now discovered, I'm now brave enough to say it out loud and say that really doesn't work for me. There does need to be the discipline of reading and space. And actually, I book a room in someone's house where I just go there for specifically to be alone with God and to make that a guarded space, and that happens weekly. But the other stuff that actually makes me feel that sort of this is a nice relationship rather than an onerous one. Actually, I've discovered that playing the piano and writing music is immense because there's no words. It's a bit like your prayer beads. I have got some of these and I really like them, particularly at General Synod when it's words. And you just go, oh, body, okay, God hasn't changed at all. This is okay. And just moving that kind of just stepping off because the Christian conveyor belt is just very similar to the rat race of everyone else's, and it will not do it. It will not do.
I think
it can be.
No, but I think it can be, yeah. But I think what you're doing there is the difference between being law setting you free, right, and through discipline, right, and law being legalistic.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, a true law will give you life, and it's the same in all our relationships. If you say, like we come up to Valentine's Day now, and what you say is people say, oh, well, I don't bother with that anymore. Because, we're past all that now. I don't need to bother with that now. And I'll take you out, or I'll bother with you when I feel like it. And the thing is, unless you actually have some kind of disciplined rule within a relationship that you are both accountable to each other.
But that varies, and that's
of course it does. No,
And I think that's
It doesn't
right.
have to be locked down, does it?
No, it doesn't have to be locked
Or in
down.
church.
No, it doesn't have to be locked down. But what I mean is that the true danger is that you can actually say, oh, well, I'm free of all that now. I don't need to do any of that now because I can't be bothered. Yeah. And with me, I know in myself, for me anyway, that because I'm so ill-disciplined, if like when I was looking around theological colleges and I went to Queen's, they said, you can come and pray when you want, like, yeah? And I was just like, that's all right.
No, I need you to tell me when to do it.
And for me, I think they say to me, you need, they said when I went to Murfield, you need to go to prayers every morning and you need to be there.
I think that's right. We need to bring this to a close. I think there is a tension, isn't there, between the things that we know we need to do that God has told us are good for us, like going to church, like reading the word, like prayer, worship, and all of those things, and taking time out was one of the things I put on my list. That you know, you have that space
discipline,
and
whether
that
I want
discipline.
to or not.
But actually seeing those things as disciplines which God has given us that are good for our soul, which is very different from that burden of, if I don't do this, I won't grow and I won't be a Christian.
The law tells us what to do, but it never gives us the power to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
And that's the grace that God gives us. So I think, it's interesting because we're all in ministry, and this question did come with a second part we're going to do another week, which is talking more about ministry. But actually, the reality is that before we're ministers, we're Christians.
Yeah.
And so all the things which everybody struggles with, I think, in this area, we all struggle with too. We're not super Christians and super disciples.
Professional Christians, which is a very dangerous thing indeed.
And we all need God's grace to help us with that as well. Thanks for watching. Please do send us your questions. You can email us, leave us a comment on Facebook or on YouTube. I didn't get to talk about jail and her temper.
What is that?
These are my devotions that I'm doing at the moment.
Could you elaborate slightly? Sarcastic devotions, angry and worn out people.
I know, it's brilliant.
She is furious.
She's fierce and the blood dripping off her temp peg. I am loving it, actually.
You definitely wouldn't mess with her.
No.
With discipline as well, or what happens is you end up seasoned in the word.
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing, is what you're doing is you're pickling yourself. And the more time you spend with God, the more he pickles you.